We've spoken a couple times about community jokes in the Monster Hunter fanbase. Typically they come and go quick as anything, and even rarely sometimes they dare to be funny. But occasionally they don't go. They stick around, driven deep into the dirt, and are chosen to be beaten as a long-needed replacement for our local dead horse. One such example is the good old Plesioth. The crux of the joke is that because a PlayStation 2 game dared to have a slightly misleading hitbox, and this was one of the larger wyverns in the original Monster Hunter 1, Plesioth and its infamous hip check got conflated to meme status, and it's been somewhat feared ever since. This is despite the fact that it's been pretty much fixed since 3rd generation, and dare we say even enjoyable to fight further on. And then we decided to go ahead and give it a Zenith. Zenith Plesioth was another early introduction, and our first monster of the Drylands report. This is the section of the Zenith Encyclopedia that covers the arid desert regions and the monsters thereof. You'll exclusively fight Plesioth in the Oasis area of the 2nd Gen desert. That is Area 7, with no variation throughout the quests. Thankfully, this spares us from a potential jungle encounter, an experience that I shudder to think about. A quick and easy trick before we even so much as see the monster: when you enter this area, instead of wasting time hanging around the shore waiting for the fish to come to you, you can cast Flashbang at 4th level and just chuck a flash bomb. This, wonderfully, will pull the fish right to the surface, so we can give it a proper butchers. Zenith Plesioth got a hell of an upgrade for the design, rejecting the flamboyant and dynamic glow-up of some of the other species, and instead settling into a much more sinister look. Sharper teeth, thick heavy ridges down the side of the neck, and the blue that was less prominent on the base species has now deepened to a dark navy. That said, the real party of course is the face. A wicked set of curling tusks have now been added to the gaping mouth, framing the jaws like a set of prison bars. A typical inspiration for this seems to be the bars of a diving bell helmet, and you can't ignore the similarity to anglerfish fangs as well. It is a wonderfully evil looking thing, and really serves to accentuate the deep sea feeling that this Zenith species seems to be going for. Not to mention the wide, vacant eyes, and you end up with an incredible departure from the small beady eyes of the original fish. It's like looking into the spiked maw of a deep sea chasm. If you couldn't tell, it's no secret so far that I'm a huge fan of this fish, and a lot of that is due to the fight. Put simply, it's a fight that encourages and almost demands you step up and play your arse off. It's kind of like a Formula 1 car in a way. You have to throw yourself into the fray at max speed and trust yourself to stick. That's what will reward you. Playing passively and you just simply won't get a response. Mechanics wise, we once again face the Zenith Water Blight. As detailed in the Barigari report, it reduces your stamina recovery to minuscule levels. Realistically, it is a threat, however there's so many ways to mitigate the lack of stamina, be it through the skill rush, using various weapon gauges such as Tonfa or Switch Axe, that you really shouldn't be shotting yourself into a tizzy trying to get rid of it immediately. Bring your element res, sure, but it isn't an immediate reset if you forget it. The other main fight addition is that Frontier decided to plumb the deepest depths of the Mariana Trench for some completely pants-wetting terror. They not only gave it Yu-Gi-Oh's Nightmare Steel Cage on its face, but they thought, hey, what does this terrifying abyss-lurking demon need? Oh, that's right! Lungs! So it can scream. Plesioth now roars. It has 3 types of roar, 2 of which are tied into a later mechanic, and 1 that comes out fast as anything. It's another attack you always have to be ready for, so the moment you see an animation ending, get ready for it to rear back and yell. You may also wish to invest in the Zenith skill for earplugs to make this a bit of a non-issue. But at last we get to throw down with the main mechanic of this fight, and it's the gel. You'll notice the odd green coloration of some of Plesioth's water-spitting attacks, chief of which is in a scripted sequence at the start of combat. At first this may seem like puny theatrics, but it's actually a way for the fish to get itself oiled up and ready for the Thursday night twerk-off. Fish want me, what's a woman? The body will be coated in a sickly green gel that translates to additional projectiles. This spin attacks, the tail whips, and even the silly chicken run will serve to scatter this green gel across the map. If you get caught in this, you're subjected to fixed damage over time and have to feverishly mash yourself out. This damage can very easily snowball, and it is deadly for anyone who tries to disengage. Not only that, but being fixed damage, it's incredibly resistant to being reduced typically, and scales with quest level. More like poison than anything else, so it's something to be incredibly cautious of. In truth, I love it, for being another mechanic that really encourages this complete engagement, no fear attitude from the players, and a well done Zenith fish is a clear mark of skill for any Mesoportian hunter. What it also does is turn the chicken walk here into one of the more deadly attacks, as he'll stomp right over you to flinch you with some absurd tracking. You'll tell us when his head pokes around inquisitively, and you evade this attack by rolling completely perpendicular to Plesioth just as it passes over you. The gel itself isn't just a buff to range, however, it's a ticking clock. Your time starts the moment it gets back up and roars from flopping around. From here, your job is John DPS, Attorney at Law. If you fail to deal enough damage in time, your reward is another massive scream animation, and Plesioth shimmies all the snot off its body to cover the area. There'll be some homing projectiles coming right for you too, so you can't even get a free opening to sit there and wail away at it. Now there is a tell, however. You will be able to tell when your time is running out when you start to see the monster foam at the mouth. If, alternatively, you choose to grit your teeth and lock the fuck in, your reward is a huge stagger as you slap all of the gel off of the fish's body. You're then also treated to what I like to call the I miss my wife animation. Plesioth just sort of stands there for what seems to be like the rest of time. It'll recover the gel eventually, but in the interim you're treated to a massively nerfed, sluggish moveset, and you can exhale and take a breath for a bit. The same moveset is also your reward once you break the tusks off of the face, with the added benefit of completely removing the gel for the rest of the fight. It is such a stark difference between the full health beast and the broken moveset, and it really does feel like a true reward for playing your tits off. I've always said one of the best things about Zenith is how much weight they give to these part breaks, and Plesioth is a shining example of that. Our penultimate thing to cover before we go over some of the gear will be the moves at each level. As usual, we're starting at the base G rank 200, you'll see the rules that are outlined before, and this spin here can be easily avoided by getting close and rolling or guarding. There's also this mad dash forward into the chicken run, which I found you could avoid by rolling towards it at the start, and then the other thing to be wary of here is the fact it can combo a hip check from a double tail spin pretty fast. On to G rank 400 and you start seeing the addition of a new double hip check attack. This is a juggle move, in that if the first hit gets you, you lose any invincibility frames and are very likely to be smacked by the follow-up check coming from the other direction. When blocking or evading, it's important to remember that there's just a slight delay between both, so make sure to hit your inputs with purpose rather than just mash. You'll also want to dodge into the second attack, as the hitbox does linger for a little bit. Commonly, this attack here will come out as a follow-up to the first roar that I mentioned, so once again it's important to be aware of your earplug situation and to either anticipate or negate that scream. 600 gets nothing but stats as per usual, we've seen this song and dance, so here's where we check out the gear. Not only is this headpiece for Blade Masters sick as hell, but as for the leg pieces, they themselves should be framed and placed in a museum for an example of a national treasure. No less than 4 points in 5 incredibly powerful skills, including the amazing Rush and Vampirism, and you've got a piece that would always appear on my set simulations. Finally, at G rank 800, the dash attack gets a prestige here. You'll now be targeted by the runaway fish a total of 3 times, so just ensure after each pass you're positioning yourself to dodge the follow-up accordingly. And with that, you should now be fully studied up on the wonderful Zenith Plesioth. I'll take your report at my desk by Monday. It's a fantastic litmus test for hunters who've adapted to the aggressive hunting style that Frontier demands, and a real rite of passage to get some stellar gear. Any Frontier hunter worth their salt should know how to take on this beast, and it's a damn pleasure to do so. I would be confident in saying one of the best Zeniths in the entire roster. We'll be back with more desert monsters in the coming weeks. Hope you enjoyed this first look. Cera out.